Die. Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about a little self-care and self-love. This was coming up for us strong today, and we felt like this would be a great topic to dive into. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Janelle. We have bonded as millennial women, as moms, wives, as coaches, and as students of life, all while finding the humor in the chaos. This is us unpacking and externally processing the ever evolving and growing baggage of life. Join us in the conversation.
Have we mentioned that we've never actually met in real life? We are connected from afar.
Yes.
Okay. Janelle, what is self-care for you?
Uh, to be honest, sometimes the day matters. Self care is, um, oh man, today is a day, obviously, I really need it. And therefore, I'm asking myself, what do I need today? Um, Self care is just listening to your body and your instincts and like asking yourself, what do I need in this moment to get me through whatever I need to get through? And sometimes that's rest, and sometimes that's taking action. Sometimes that's doing the uncomfortable things, sitting in the uncomfortableness and working through a problem. Sometimes that's just surrounding yourself with someone else's energy, just soaking in the love from somebody else. Yeah, whatever fills you and helps move you forward. Yeah.
Yeah,
How about you? What's your
yeah,
definition?
yeah, I agree with that. I think I'm such like a feeler. That's my whole like journey of everything that I'm doing over time has really like pulled back into like feeling. So self-care falls in that category. And with that means like I'm really like very in tune with like how much energy I have to give
Mm,
so that I can care for myself first. And also, like, this brings up like pouring into your own cup, like doing something for yourself before doing things for other people, making sure that you even have the energy to give to the people around you. Because I think as, moms and women in general, we have this really great strength at like taking on the world and
yeah.
doing things for everyone else, where we tend to forget, like, hey, what about me? And we can find it like selfish. And I think that I would love to like debunk that in this, topic for everyone today, is just like taking care of yourself is not selfish. In fact, it's the most like beautiful gift that you can give to yourself, because no
And
one
to
else can
others.
fill, and to others. Absolutely. Like when you take care of yourself first, you are the better wife. You
Yeah.
are the better mom. You're the better friend, the better business owner. Like whatever that is, you're showing up better because you have taken the time to fill up your own cup and to take care of yourself.
Yeah. Oh, you just kind of trigger something. It's not necessarily, oh, do I dive into this? You,
Do
I
it.
want to share it. Okay, so it's not necessarily on in this. It's the importance of self-care is not always just about us and filling our own cup. It is also teaching our kids that this is important, that we would like them to do it. It's also teaching them not to, like, as they become adults, that they can stand on their own, you know, and that it's important for them to do their self-care, because if they see us as moms and or as dads as well, like it's not just a mom thing too. I think it's important to say this, is that men as well can feel this way, that they come home and they pour the rest of whatever they have left. um, that if we pour everything into our kids and put ourselves last every time, whether it's your like you don't do any of your hobbies that you used to do, or like you attend all of their things, all of their like tutoring and all of their activities, and you're there for them and you don't do anything for yourself. Well, what does that tell them when they're an adult?
Hmm.
That they are no longer important. That they have to turn around and do the exact same thing, and that they are no longer a a being. They are there, just
Hmm.
there as a vessel to take care of everyone else, and that's not what I want to teach my kids. So remembering that I have to do that, they learn from example. You know,
Absolutely. Like remembering that like we are the true influence. Our kids might be watching influencers on YouTube and on the world, wide web of whatever they're looking at, but at the end of the day, like we're their main influence. And I mean, it's all about like talking the talk and walking the walk. That is something like as a parent for myself that I like strive to always uphold. I want to be implementing and influencing them in a direction of them not only hearing me say it, but them seeing me do it as well. Because, like you said, then it's like, okay, that gives them permission and makes that hopefully a healthy habit that they draw in from us, because I'm sure that there are also plenty of not the best habits, right? Like even when we're doing the absolute best that we can, um, we're human and that's what that's going to be. But especially just like in the mom space of like, I know you see me as like a superhero, but I still like always find it important to be like, I'm also like new here. I'm new at this, you
yeah,
know? And I think part of that is like, I think that's self-care and it's self-love of just like expressing like who you are authentically. And like sometimes we're fantastic and other times we totally fuck it up because it's our first time, you
yes,
know? Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, this isn't even setting them up in for the future. It's setting them up now. Like I, you don't realize how much they're watching. Like the other day, Mason has been doing this for a while. My oldest has been doing this for a while, where if he sees me do this when I'm uh like overstimulated or whatever, and I need some me time. I need some quiet time or whatever, so I will actually remove myself, like go sit in my room by myself in the quiet or whatever. Um and when he starts to get overstimulated, he will actually verbalize that and say, I'm like, there's too much going on, I need to go and have some me time. And he'll just go
Mhm.
sit quietly, and I think that's a really important skill to instill in them, for them to develop, being able to say like, I'm maxed and I need time to recover. Because I think a
Yeah.
lot of kids don't know how to do that, or don't realize that how important that can be for them to be their best selves and put their
Hmm.
best foot forward. So to be able to verbalize that and recognize that in themselves. um, Although having said that, sometimes he just doesn't want to play with his brother. But
It's all not deep reflection, but some of it
yeah,
is.
sometimes he's like, I just want to, which I mean, again, maybe that is his overstimulation. He just doesn't want to play with his brother. He doesn't want to
Right.
play in that style or whatever they're doing. But I think it's really cool for him to say, like, to realize that he just wasn't me saying, maybe you should take a few minutes for yourself. It was just noticing that when I'm overtired or whatever, I'm just having a crap day and need to step away. He's like, oh, well, maybe I can do that too, and maybe that would help me.
Hmm.
And so I like that. It was like you said, is like us walking the walk.
Hmm.
They look at that and they're like, well, maybe I'll try that on, and it grows their toolbox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and this brings up too, just like as women, how like every single day is different for us.
yeah,
So it's like, yeah, self-care can look different every single day because of our hormones and our cycle
yeah,
and what comes into play. And like the past couple years, like really learning more about my cycle and where I am, and because it matters, because sometimes you're like, what the hell? Like I have no energy. Like why? And it's like, oh, well, my period's in 2 days, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, well that now what do I want to do? Like knowing that that's coming again, like it almost has been this permission slip of like, you need to slow down. You need to be taking care of yourself. Like things are shifting and you're going to be shedding and you need to be just, being in like a relaxing state. And what's so funny, this just happened the other day. I was on my cycle, and so I was really in that headspace and, caring for myself and slowing down and just like really like I really just like am so gentle with myself now, which before I used to just blast through it, and it's like no, like I just want it to be more of a special time instead of like this daunting time, which don't get me wrong, there's the both. But um, my daughter's birthdays are coming up, and we have done different things over the year. But one thing that they really enjoyed was they both got to pick a friend, and then we just kind of went throughout the day, and we hit up all the fun like drink spots that they like, and we went to the mall, and we went to this arcade place, and then just it was a whole day of like kind of like whatever they wanted. And so they both decided like, hey, I want to do that again this year. And so we're talking about it, and they're like, well, but at the end, instead of our friends leaving, we want our friends to stay the night. Let's have a sleepover. And I'm like, and I'm like looking at the calendar, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be on my period, so I'm gonna have to say no. They're like, what? And so I was talking to my mom, and my mom's like, she goes, the girls told me that they wanted to have a sleepover, but you said no because you're gonna be on your period. I'm like, listen, I am thinking of like my future self on this one, and like I know how little of energy. I mean, sometimes just like functioning through the day is too much, right? And I don't know if it's going to be like that, but in case it is, I think a day of adventure with 4 kids is plenty for me. And I think they can go home so I can at least, decompress and relax at night.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like to your point, I think it's sometimes I mean, it's not everything is always in our control. Sometimes there's things that we have to show up for and you just got to power through. That's just the fact of life. But there are
Yeah.
things where you can kind of look at it and be like, I know what I'm like then. That's not a great day to schedule that. you know,
Yeah.
or, even just in how I work, knowing that there's certain days that I am not my most creative and energetic self. This is not a day that I should be doing this part of my business. Or, like to your point, maybe I'm not planning the most adventurous, super energy charged, filled with children day because it might not end well for them either.
Yeah.
So just kind of using that as a tool of like, when is my best time? And I've more and more, they're talking about even using your cycle, even in fitness, and how, when is the best time to train? When is more of a recovery period, and learning instead of fighting that, to work within that and use it as a tool.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. And like for me, because today is the day, I actually had a coaching session this morning, and this is kind of what stemmed it. It was just, I came into this coaching session. It was first thing in the morning. I do a 6 a.m. call with my coach, and I was spicy. And it was, I'm getting ready for this event. There's a bunch of planning and selling tickets and things like that. And so what was coming up is like, the bitch inside my head is so fucking loud today that I like want to kick stuff and
Yeah.
beat her up, and so just that most of my energy is just going into fighting, like in just defending myself against her. And
Mhm.
I like, today is not a day to be the most my most creative self. Or maybe it's I focused maybe on some other areas where there's less emotional roller coaster around, and just focusing more on the process of like, what do I need to do today? And that
Mhm.
also looks like taking care of myself a little bit today. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't think about or ruminate on the big picture or the big tasks that take a lot of my mental energy. Like today is like the little things that I can do and celebrate all the little wins. Like even doing this call with you today, you're like, oh, maybe we should have canceled. No, like this is this is a big check mark for me that this is something easy I can do. I can have a conversation and I'll feel good
Yeah.
about my day. Um, yeah, so just it's
See
amazing.
that.
Like it doesn't have to be a bath and candles and or hiding in that kind of thing. The self-care can just be acknowledging where you're at and using that and working within that to
Mhm.
support yourself, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And there is this like cycle syncing with your workouts and even the food you're ingesting and the
Yes.
things that you're doing in that time. And I remember this being like an aha moment for me last year sometime when I started, really focusing on this with particularly my workouts. And it was like that 5 pound weight felt like it was 50. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, I can lift 5 pounds, but it feels so heavy. And then when I started to pay attention, it's like, yeah, because you shouldn't even be lifting that 5 pounds right now. Like, your body actually needs you to like cocoon up and possibly just lay on the couch. And then guess what? After your period and when things, shift, lift heavy because your body wants it. It craves it. Like that's the time to do it. But it can't look the same and it won't always look the same. And
And
that helped
let's
me.
just say, like, it's not to say that you can't power through, but how do you feel after? You
Hmm.
know? Like we can do
Oh,
these things.
yeah.
We are freaking superhuman as women. We could be when we decide to be. Doesn't mean we need to be, or
Yeah.
feel
And I
guilty
think
for
that
not.
exactly. I don't know. I feel like there's this space that I've wanted to get into because I have always been so rigid, so power through, so gotta keep moving that I've just like entered into this space of like, I don't know, my care just looks so much different. Like, I am okay just sitting it out and being on the couch for the day. Like, I'm okay with that now. I never would have been okay with that before because I would have felt like I was lazy or whatever. But I'm seeing that, like, it's just a day. Like, the world didn't stop because I paused and I decided to not work out and to just lay on the couch and just like let myself be. And there's power in that, like, I have found, and that has shifted my caring for myself.
Hmm. Yeah. So you talk about like how you care for yourself, during your period, but what about in between? Like, what does your self care look like in between?
I feel like it also shifts and changes, like you were saying, like kind of daily. Um, Self-care for me, I think because it has always been this like, oh, you need to take all this time and you need to draw a bath and you need to do this. And it's like, no, like maybe I just need to be intentional with what I'm doing, right? Like say yes when I mean yes, say no when I mean no. That's
Mm.
also self-care. That's
Ooh,
self-love,
yeah.
caring for yourself, like how am I making my coffee? Am I just throwing it together or am I being intentional? Am I trying to like, love myself, create something good for myself with what I'm doing? So there's just like this whole barrage, I feel like, of, is that the word I'm looking for? I think. But
We
of
got you. We know
different
what you
ways to
mean. Yeah.
of different ways to care for yourself. Even like I have 30 seconds before I have to run in and go and get the kids, and then we know. We know. We love them, we love them, we miss them all day, but we know the second we pick them up, the chaos is beginning, right? Like the chaos of love and family and all of the things. But sometimes it can be overstimulating and a bit much. So it's like, okay, the 30 seconds from me parking the car to going and getting the kids, maybe I'm going to pause and I'm just going to take some deep breaths and just like get, connected with myself. That's self-care because it's
Yeah.
acknowledging you. It's acknowledging where you're at and what you need before you move on to the next thing.
Yeah, you just said something super powerful there. I think it's asking yourself, what do I need right now? And
Hmm.
sometimes that's just enough of just acknowledging, like that's, if we don't have a, sometimes we get in our minds that we should have these practices, whether it's a morning practice and evening practices, and we have all these things for success, and they're fantastic. And if those are your habits, fantastic. I also have some of those um, that help me regulate on the daily. But they're in the times where in the middle of the day where my day looks different every day.
Hmm.
When your kids are at home and they've got stuff, and it's in the moment, how can you serve yourself is sometimes is just getting quiet, say what do I need right now, and just listening for that answer. And it's usually the first thing that comes to your mind.
Hmm.
And it could be small, it can be really big, it could be I need to go to bed, it could
Hmm.
be I'm thirsty, I'm actually
Yeah.
thirsty.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
haven't drank all day, maybe I need a glass of water, you know but I think that's where a lot of it can stem from. The habits are great, but when we're feeling out of alignment, and when we feel chaotic, just taking a breath, and it can take 30 seconds, like you said, of just taking a deep breath and what do I need, and
Yeah.
acknowledging that.
Yeah, because like the habits are great, right? They are. But if the habits are now feeling more of a to-do
Yeah.
instead of a kind ritual for yourself, then now that habit is not producing what it should be producing for you because now it's one more thing, right?
Mm.
Like what, like to me, that's what I think of. So it's like, yes, maybe today might, okay, so say like your standard habit is waking up at 5 a.m. and working out, and this would be me. So I'm using mine. Waking up at 5 a.m. before the kids so that I'm doing something for myself and also that way I know it gets done. Okay, well, maybe today that isn't going to be it. Giving myself permission to say, not today. Today I need to sleep. And not in a way of like excuseville, where it's like, I know I should, but I really want, like, just allowing it. It's like, I can actually tell my body needs more rest than it does need to get up and work out. And like, the difference. Once you start being more in tune like with yourself, the difference of excuses versus this is just kind of what I need right now. But if I am like, no, I have to get up, I have to do this, otherwise I'm going to be a failure, and that habit is now sabotaging me. That habit
Mm.
is now not producing something good when it is supposed to be meant to make you feel better, right? Or to make you feel good. So you have to like, I don't know. I just find that there's a difference between like these habits and like not allowing them to be to-dos and finding the ritual in it.
Yeah, I think you said it is the intention, right? If you're
Hmm.
going after a goal, and you've set up these habits for success to get yourself there, um, you know, that self-talk of, is it just me being like, I don't want to, or is it, I need this? I think that's a big thing. And when it doesn't feel like a ritual anymore,
Hmm.
maybe investigating, why doesn't that feel like a ritual anymore? What is it about this that is no longer, either is it no longer serving me, or how can I shift this back into ritual, you know,
Hmm.
or how can I honor this new season? And I think that's the other thing to look at, is in different seasons we might need different things,
Hmm.
you know. where like, and I don't mean literal seasons of like winter, summer, and etc., but seasons of life where you might have more stress, or you're kind of going through an area of growth and you might need a little extra rest. You might need extra food, extra water, more stillness, more intentional stillness, because there's way more chaos in your life. And it's good chaos. It's not like that shit's falling apart left, right, and center. Is that there's a lot of stimulation in your life, that you do need to schedule more stillness. And what does that look like? And that might
Yeah.
look different than your regular routine, where like life is kind of good, it's status quo, things are easy. It's easy to do those things when life is status quo. It's when it's in those moments where life is coming at you and you're like, and you're fighting your way through. You're like, I can do this, I know I can do this, but like, it's how can I support myself through this? And that looks different than when things are status quo. Same thing. It's like, today is your period. Like, if we look at that, like your cycle again, seasons, the 4 seasons of the
Yes.
cycle. um what do I need in this season? Like, what do I need in this today and these the next couple days? Looks different than what I need in like the middle of my cycle, where things are going great.
Yeah.
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 Oh my
And I
god, it's
think
so
it's
funny.
good that I just think it's good that we talk about that because, I mean, seriously, as women, every single day our structural hormone cycle is different. So we do have to be intentional. Like, we have to take the time to be intentional to what it is that we're needing, what's feeling right, because what worked yesterday might not work today. And I feel like that is something that, again, for me, like slowing down, working so hard on like stepping more into this like feminine role, because that's somewhere that has been very hard for me. I didn't realize, but I've always lived in this like masculine role,
Mm, I hear
done
ya.
other by no one but myself,
Yes,
you
100%,
know?
friend. Yeah.
And so that's why it's like, no, dude, like I'm gonna give myself the gift of chilling the fuck out on the couch and like watching Housewives. And good for you. That's a fucking win. Why is that a win? Because I would have never done that. I would have beat myself up. I would have made sure that I did all these things so I felt productive when really it wore me the fuck out. Like, no, I want to chill on the couch. That's productive. Is watching Housewives productive? Probably not. But is it what I wanted? Yeah.
Isn't that so interesting? Even as you're talking about this, I'm like, ugh, like that guilt
Mm,
of rest.
yeah.
Um, I like, and it wasn't even really taught to me. Like, my mom was very good at this, of acknowledging when she needed rest, and she would do it. But I also grew up on a farm where, when it's work time. And it's funny how we kind of, the narrative that we create as we're growing up,
Mm,
just by the influences we have in our life. It's not like
yeah.
someone was telling me, you do this, like you have to work like that. It was just what I saw, and the things that I picked and chose to
Mm-hmm.
take on for myself. And one of them is, like, I will do the rest. I will sit and rest and read a book. I love to read. Whether it's like personal development books or a good smut book, like, I like to read, and I like to take long baths. But the amount of guilt that comes with it sometimes, of being found out, like, there's, even if I've been super productive all day, and by no means has my husband ever questioned me or any, like, made any comment. But
Mm-hmm.
if he comes in the door and I'm sitting, I automatically, like, will be like, oh shit, what should I be doing right now? And it's like this. It is so silly. It's not even coming from him. It's from me, of this like lingering, that is, I don't deserve to rest, especially if I've had a day where it's been a little bit of a slower day, kind of status quo day, where I've just kind of been putzing around the house, or just ran a few errands. And, oh look, I have some time before the kids get home, and then a supper and activities and homework and things like that.
Yeah.
And but like it's just there's a guilt to it and it's so ridiculous and it's hard to get rid of that. It's like even though I'm doing the resting part, I know I need to do this. There's it's letting go of that guilt, and I clearly this is not something I've mastered yet. I'm aware of it. I'm acknowledging it, um,
Yeah.
and kind of trying to work my way through that because it's such an emotional tie that
Hmm.
is, yeah, it's so silly.
Yeah. I did that with food. I
Yeah,
did that with working out. I've done that with rest, with think same thing, like did all this stuff. My husband comes home, I jump up, like heaven forbid him like catch me on the couch. Same thing. Never ever was it him. He his would could care less. It was me of like, oh my God, like I don't want him to think I'm lazy.
yeah. I
And I
need to be
think
the
it
perfect wife.
Right, right. And it perfect to what, right? Like our standard that we've created, not them. Like we're already that to them, which we can, whatever. Um, but I forgot. I lost my train of thought there for a second.
You were saying
But
like
any,
with workout, eating, like the different areas that you would do that.
yeah. And I think the more that I've just uncovered and the more that I'm like, I want to feel at ease. Like, and it was little by little of like, you know what? I'm gonna eat the cake and like let that noise finally start to go away. But it took so long because I would convince myself to eat the cake and then I would eat the cake and be like, I deserve that. And then 10 minutes later, it was like, why the fuck do you eat the cake? Now you need to work out extra hard. Now you're going to gain a pound. Now you're going to da 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 da, right? And it was just
Yeah,
like this cycle. And the more that I've contributed and taken time to just like love me for
yeah.
me, exactly where I am right now, not 10 pounds ago, not, when I had this or that, like right here, right now is when some of that has started to shed. And it's like, if somebody thinks I'm lazy, cool.
Let them.
Because I think it's more of the knowing of like, the more work I've done, the more I've gotten to know myself. Whereas before I had no clue who I was, so I was constantly trying to uphold all of these standards that I had created.
It's so funny that you talk about like your experience with food because I've done the similar thing like this my relationship with food and like the whole you know I want the cake. I'll have a little bit. Well, fuck, if I had a little bit, I might as well go all in and eat all the cake. I'll eat the whole pan. And like
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
I've come so far from that and just honoring my body and loving it as it is and um, not punishing. There's no punishing or restricting. It's more of like just honoring it and enjoying it, enjoying, food and things like that. And how can I more focusing on how I nourish my body. And sometimes that
Hmm.
is also joy, right? But I never put that together, how that transformation, how that's so similar. It's a parallel to this rest.
Hmm.
This is what happens when two coaches sit and talk to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, this is externally processing.
Yeah.
This is it exactly.
Well, shit,
This,
you know?
yeah.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
How I can use that experience and work through this rest, the guilt of rest.
Hmm. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, and I like correlate this to with when we're talking self-love, self-care, like I learned to love myself at my most physical, biggest body. So when I should have been like, what the fuck? And I was up until I was like, I am so sick of hating myself. I am so sick of the negative self-talk. People would love to have this body. My body is beautiful. And like, I mean, it was a day in, day out of like taking time to touch my body, connect with my body,
Ooh,
love it.
girl.
Like, yeah, it was like all of these things, but that's what connected
Hmm.
me to me. And it was like, what a gift at what society should say, you shouldn't love yourself, you're overweight, right? That's what we've been told. I found a way to love myself at the biggest weight ever. And now, like, it's just been this transformation that's led into so many other things of being on the other side of that, of like just loving myself for me, where I am, meeting myself where I am right now.
Yeah, and I think part of that is like this disconnect of the your external body is not a representation of your worth,
Hmm.
you know? Because
Yeah.
same thing is just I learned to love my body, and yeah, like there's times where like it I fluctuate, especially
Hmm.
a lot of that revolves around seasons of my life where I'm not as dedicated in the gym.
Yeah.
And I learned to love more about the strength of my body and the health of my body, the energy of
Hmm.
my body versus what it looks like on the outside.
Yeah.
Um, so seeking more if I'm feeling low energy. It's like, why am I feeling low energy? I'm not nourishing my body. I'm not moving my body. What kind of ways do I want to move my body in this season that like fits within my schedule or that feels more like self-care to me? And sometimes
Yeah.
that's lifting heavy weights, and sometimes that's pounding pavement. Sometimes that's
Hmm.
just hiking, with friends or whatever. It's just finding these what yeah, how do I want to support my body? What does my body need? And that all those different seasons reflect differently on my body. And also winter
Hmm.
comes and then Christmas comes and I love to eat with my family
Yeah.
um and there's no guilt in that. It's just I accept where that is and I enjoy my time doing that, knowing that I will come back into the seasons of needing to nourish my body more and eating more just different foods and just recognizing these just different seasons of what my body needs. And sometimes that season is of enjoying and at being at peace
Yeah.
and going traveling and eating all the really good food, with people that I love, and or being at Christmas time around the people that I love, and we sit and eat snacks and and visit and play cards and things like that, and just being so in the moment. And when I stopped looking at it of the price I need to pay tomorrow if I
Yeah.
do this. It took all the enjoyment out of the actual experience of doing that with my family and the joy that that
Yeah.
brings me. And when I let go of that guilt of like this tax that's going to come, like the tax man is going to come, and just that fear and like, uh, it it just brought so much more joy in my life. And then tomorrow, guess what? I'm not spending a week feeling guilty and shaming myself, which then
Yeah.
makes me want to eat more. I now
Hmm.
just accepted that I had a wonderful day or a wonderful experience. And then, yeah, tomorrow's I just go back to the way it was, you know?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love this. This whole topic just gets me fired up.
Oh, me too,
It
man.
feels so good. It feels so good. I could go on forever, but we must stop.
I know.
We must come to an end. I will have a child waiting for me at school in like 10 minutes.
I'm so
So
glad you're like the mom, like, okay, wrap it up now. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go.
I know, I know. Like, but my real kid's out there waiting for me. Those
Yeah.
dang early release days. Oh my God,
Dang
right,
it.
moms? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it just come before you know it. But I think there's more on this subject for us to bring out 100%. But this was so good. I hope that you're feeling um, a little better. And maybe
Yeah.
this would be like a
This was
good
my
space
self
for
care.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, this would be like a good space for you to get to continue to like process those parallels that we brought
Yeah.
up.
100%. Yeah. Okay.
Amazing.
We'll leave it there.
All right, we'll drop it. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Love you guys.
Bye.